next question is about substance abuse and addiction. Drug overdose is one of the highest in the nation, with Rio Arriba County surpassing other New Mexico counties. What would you, as governor, do to help combat this problem that costs the state so much money due to the residual symptoms of drug abuse? Mr. Apodaca.
This is one of our top issues in our state. Rio Arriba is actually literally the 4th county in the country with opiate addiction and overdoses. Over 500 New Mexicans die a year. And folks, I'll be very frank and honest. Secretary of Health pushes pill mills for pharmaceutical companies. Opiate addiction went rampant in our state. Our legislators literally, our federal legislators literally voted to not allow the DEA to lock down on these folks. And now we have opiate addiction all over our state. 25% of our families live under poverty. 500 New Mexicans die a year. And we keep cutting funding from that. And now you look at our judicial system, you look at our prison system, the private prison system. Over 37% of our prisoners today, they're not violent criminals, they're non-violent criminals. Guess what they are? Opiate addiction, marijuana possession, alcoholism. 6% are behavioral health, because we've cut those programs. As governor, we'll reinstate those programs, and we've already been talking about this for a year. We spent $221 million of your money into the private prisons to incarcerate drug addiction instead of treating it. And our state has a program, long-term care, 2 months. And we know the experts tell us it needs 2 years. So as governor, we're going to decriminalize this activity and help New Mexicans. We're going to move $221 million back over here and literally create rehab and training programs to not only rehab opiate addiction. We're going to stop it, we're going to shut it down with pill mills, and we're going to basically grow our economy by helping them get out of the opiate addiction, train them for opportunities. And we're going to move this $221 million from our private prisons over to rehab, which is 65% cheaper. We have to start looking at things in a major difference than the status quo. Status quo is not working for us.
Congresswoman.
Well, I'm going to take a minute just to set the record straight. So in fact, I was the Secretary of Health from 2004 to 2007. The opioid crisis in New Mexico was 2010 forward. In addition, been in New Mexico, and the legislators will tell you that we made a shift in New Mexico so that behavioral health, including drug addiction, was a responsibility of the Human Services Department, which did the statewide entity. That being said, the Department of Health had incredible protocols under my leadership, which made an incredible difference in driving down overdoses and making sure that we were investing in behavioral health, that we had an effective public health model, that we were doing needle exchange. And why is that important? Because it's an entry level to provide support and treatment to individuals who have heroin addictions, and we were dropping those rates and infectious disease rates in New Mexico. The key, prevention, treatment, and really dealing with making sure that we have productive programs that aren't just 28 days. And if we're going to do something about opioids, both in the state and the country, we need to hold the bad actors responsible, and that's the pharmaceutical companies who continue to push opioids in hospitals, through doctors' offices, and all around the country. And as a congresswoman, I've got pieces of legislation that hold them accountable. And in fact, if you were in Congress, what you might know is that bills get sent to the presidents without members of Congress ever getting a chance to vote on them. They just send them up. The Republicans, the majority party, can do that. And believe me, I don't think I have to convince this audience that the Republicans in Congress have made several mistakes. But no question, I don't think I have to convince you, there is no question that this state created serious issues by completely eroding our behavioral health system, and as governor, I will put it right back.
Senator.
A couple of years ago, the Drug Policy Alliance came to me and said, Joe, we've been trying for years to decriminalize marijuana in the legislature in the state of New Mexico. We haven't had any success. Will you take on the legislation? And so I took it on. it was hard, but we got that bill passed through the Senate by one vote. And you all who've watched Washington, D.C., you remember the John McCain moment. When you're passing any legislation by one vote and you're in the glare of the headlights and the floor, and you're counting on every vote and you're working every arm and twisting every arm to get that one vote, it's a challenge. I passed it by one vote. 2 years later, I came back with the same bill because I wanted the governor to sign it. And so I got Republicans on board. We passed it by 14 votes in the Senate with Republican support. Because I'm not in Santa Fe just to pass bills to say that I pass bills for a show. I'm not a show horse. It's not about just getting the Democrats on board. It's about helping people. And I knew the only way I was going to make that happen was with the governor's support and her signing it, and so I brought Republicans on board. I've talked to judges, and they tell me, I said, why do we have the crime problem we have in New Mexico? Why do we have the worst crime rates in the entire country in Albuquerque? Their answer is the same, which is we're spending too much of our time, our energy, and resources on small drug possession and substance abuse problems without giving our attention to violent crime. And so that's why I've taken on decriminalization of marijuana. I passed it now twice in the Senate. I got it all the way through the House committees. It sat on the Speaker's desk for a number of days, and I'll be the governor to sign the decriminalization bill on my first term in our first 100 days in office. Albuquerque's now done it, and the state needs to be doing it statewide. How do we deal with substance abuse issues? We treat it as something other than a criminal offense. We take it out of the criminal justice system entirely. This is a health issue, and it goes to more, Congresswoman, than just prevention, and it goes to more than just treatment. Look, the reason Rio Arriba and other communities are turning to drugs is a sense of hopelessness. Those communities do not see their future, do not see the jobs, do not see the opportunities for their families and their young people. They're turning to drugs out of hopelessness. We need to give them the hope that we will create the jobs and a great future for New Mexico, for my daughters and the young people in our state.
Yeah.